serious, it's fun, it's your Catholic drive time.
With Joe McClane and EmilyiAlcaraz.
Returning to the show is Dana Cheng. She is a senior editor at the Epoch Times and vice president. Good morning to you, Ms. Cheng.
Good morning. How are you?
Praise be to God. I am alive, and I'm very grateful for you being back on our program. Dana, there is a lot of really interesting news coming out about China, more and more every single day. The posturing in the South China Sea seems to be at a real tipping point. A record number of Chinese warplanes entering Taiwan airspace and missiles being fired off the coast. I mean, are we going to be going to war over Taiwan in the South China Sea soon?
Well, it's possible. It's possible. Actually, to take over Taiwan has been the dream of Chinese Communist Party over last, I would say, 70 years. They never stopped planning to take over Taiwan. And the reason they have not done so is because they are afraid of America. They feel that if America, align with Taiwan, and of course America will, China has not got enough strength to do that, to achieve the goal. But right now, CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, thinks that it has an equal strength as United States. And now they think that these 4 years of Biden administration is a good time window. And they think America is at a very weak spot. They want to take advantage of this time window to take over Taiwan.
My understanding is the preferred method of Xi Jinping or the CCP is to use politics, bullying, buying up people's debts and then sort of enslaving them that way, or just infiltrating their media, their politicians, infiltrating their educational institutions, trying all these other tactics and strategies to accomplish their goal. But will we see troops on the ground in Taiwan? I think is the real question.
Well, I think they have planned more modern, military strategy. In the past few decades, they have stolen a lot of technology from America military. So they have built up, the technology, especially digital, and China is a big manufacturing center of Crown. So I think it will be not the traditional sense, but they're going to have their airplane circling Taiwan and tighter, closer and closer until at some point Taiwan is forced to pull the trigger, and then they will have all the reason to crush down Taiwan. They think that America is not going to really get involved and put full force over there. That's what they think. Especially after the meeting of China delegates and American delegates in Alaska. That meeting not long ago, a few weeks ago, was a test, like how far CCP can push. And they lectured America in front of the whole world. They lectured America.
Wow.
They think America cannot push back. So that's a test. Right now, they are also testing America. It's not about Taiwan. Taiwan, they can easily crush. They are testing America, like how far America is going to tolerate it, and is America going to really get involved? This is not about Taiwan. This is the war at the spot between U.S. and China, really. Because China, right, CCP want to rule the whole world. They want to take over America as the number one in the world. And so if we lose Taiwan, the whole free world will not have the military strength or military advantage over the communist regime. This is not between country to country. This is between the free world and communist regime.
Wow. It's just, it's heavy. It's actually heavy. Dana Cheng is our guest. She is the senior editor at the Epoch Times. And we're talking about communist China's push on the world platform. And it's getting very heavy, very near the brink of war, it feels like, especially there in the South China Sea. But Dana, you mentioned around the world. If this should go to military arms, do you see this as the next World War III? Will the entire world be engulfed in a military conflict if things should kick off? Dana Cheng.
That's very hard to say. That's very hard to say. We are in a very different environment, and they are nuclear in different countries. It's very hard to predict.
I want to turn to Hong Kong here, but we're going to be up against a short break here in a moment. We're going to be going to a break. I noticed that I want to talk about the Epoch Times in Hong Kong being attacked. There's also a Hong Kong court hands down hefty sentence to pro-democracy activist, drawing international criticisms. I want to talk about the freedom movement in Hong Kong and the tight grip of the CCP that's tightening there, as well as I would like to talk to you about some of the updates on the situation over the persecution of Uyghurs, Falun Gong, and Christians and others in communist China. It just seems like there's every single day there is so much news coming out of China. I mean, just it's overwhelming.
That's true.
So, all right, that music means we're going to take a pause, and but let's turn to Hong Kong in this segment. Just this week, Dana, the Epoch Times printing press in Hong Kong was attacked yet again. Can you tell us what happened?
Yes. On Monday, 4 intruders broke into the printing press of Hong Kong Epoch Times using sledgehammers. They smashed the computers, the printing machinery, and they smashed the computer, the control panel. So Epoch Times has been forced to suspend the printing. But this morning, our team put all the effort to repair, and this morning we resumed. So we printed the newspaper, and this is an important day. There are many media in Hong Kong, but only 2 newspapers that will not follow the communist propaganda directives, which is Epoch Times and the Apple Daily. And today it was announced that the boss of the Apple Daily is sentenced to 18 months.
Wow. So
it's the Apple Daily and the Apple Times they are trying to suppress.
So the freedom movement. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. This is the 5th time the Epoch Times printing press was attacked.
Wow.
In 2019, November 19. Well, during the mass pro-democracy protest, Epoch Times has reported, truthfully, about what people had been asking and what was really going on, contrary to what Hong Kong government and the CCP was talking about. So we were hugely popular. Then 4 men broke into the printing facility and set a fire. And thankfully, our staff put out the fire in time, so we could continue to print.
Wow, it's rather insane operating conditions there, Ms. Cheng. To be in an environment where you're feeling the pressure more and more every day. For the boss of one of those outlets to be arrested and then now sentenced to 18 months in prison, How are your employees doing there? I mean, it must take great courage to continue operating in that environment.
Right. Our staff have been followed, and in last month, one of the popular hosts got a message from her relative in China, and national security staff visited her relative and asked them to pass the message, say she should stop hosting the program, otherwise she will be arrested. So this kind of a threat comes every day. We were popular. Hong Kong people support us so much. So we were very popular. We were like in the Cheng store across the Hong Kong of more than 500 stores. But under the pressure, the chain store broke the contract, and we have to pull out of those chain stores. So that's the environment we have been operating. But people really look forward to reading our paper. They feel we are the hope for Hong Kong. As long as we are there, there are still, hope for Hong Kong. So we are not going to back down.
Let's talk about the freedom movement in Hong Kong in general. It seems like it's getting more and more desperate for those that want freedom and desire freedom in Hong Kong. Hong Kong was supposed to be a separate system for China, outside of mainland China, and yet it looks like that timeline has been moved up, and they're trying to incorporate it into the fold. What is the movement like today, those fighting for democracy and freedom in Hong Kong?
Hong Kong people have never changed. They really oppose CCP. Actually, when Hong Kong was handed over to China, it was agreed that the Hong Kong people would rule Hong Kong. For 50 years, the system would not change, but it's only halfway. It's only halfway, it's only 25 years. So now the Communist Party said it's patrons rule Hong Kong. So-called patrons means that the whole Beijing people rule Hong Kong. So now there's no election, and legislators can be disqualified anytime. There's no freedom of press. I mean, we still continue to operate under the pressure, but overwhelmingly, it's a Chinese company taking over all the major business, and just from every direction, and there's less and less freedom. So many Hong Kong people want to leave Hong Kong, and for those who stay there, they support those democratic activists.
That's great. And Dana, I wanted to ask you about, because last time we spoke to you, we were still early into the Biden administration, I think. So from your perspective, Dana, what are the differences that you have seen between the Trump administration and the Biden administration's attitudes towards China, towards Hong Kong?
Trump made a major shift. Before Trump, the focus of America was in Middle East. So when Trump took the office, he educated the whole country, actually the whole world, that the biggest threat is from China. And he's right. The biggest threat is from the communist regime, communist China. So the Middle East situation or the North Korea situation have been manipulated by CCP, Chinese Communist Party, to distract America. So China got a few decades to develop without any check. So Trump made a major shift, and he had been very open and vocal about it. That educates the whole world. If this happened a few years later, it will be irreversible. And so China was like in some way, they respect Trump. Many Chinese people respect Trump. They think, okay, he has guts and he defends America. But of course, CCP was very they hate Trump, right? They really hate Trump. They really want to see him leave the office. So when Biden got on, actually in many aspects, he continued the Trump policy of China. But on the other hand, the openly stated policies in some area, we will compete with China. In some area, we will cooperate with China. But you can't do that. It's not possible to do that. So China see Trump, Biden administration, is a time window they can exploit. And that's why they get very aggressive in Taiwan. They think America is at a weak point.
Dana Cheng is our guest. She's the senior editor of the Epoch Times. We have just about a minute and a half, 2 minutes left with our guest in this hour, and it's incredible news to have to sit and sort through. There's just so much of it that comes out through China. Uyghurs and persecution of Falun Gong and persecution of Christians. And it seems so oppressive. I mean, here in America, I know that the FCC chairman is trying to stop the use of CCP manufactured communications gear because it's known to spy on us, and it's all over America's infrastructure. So it seems like their tentacles are knee deep. Now, last question. We have about a minute left with you, Dana. I've heard that Chinese citizens in America still have to be very careful because the CCP can even intimidate and even harm them here in America. Is there any truth to that?
Yeah, of course. They have a huge network that monitor Chinese even after they left China. And they know there are a lot of spies here. So, and for example, they would visit my father. My father passed away, but years ago they would visit my father and give him pressure and ask him to pass a message to me. I should stop doing what I've been doing, like reporting, working for Epoch Times. And this is a typical. I'm not alone. This is a typical. So many Chinese, even though they come here, for the students, they cannot say what they want to say. It's not like they are in a free country. They know they are monitored. They want to show that they support the Communist Party so that their family members will not get into trouble. They still have opportunities to go back, and they still have opportunities to do business. Wow. So they are monitored. These are about the Chinese people here, but even the Westerners, they monitor. If you say something like not friendly to communist regime in China, they won't give you, they won't give you a visa.
I have to cut you off there, Miss Cheng. I'm so sorry I have to cut you off because we got to go. But Dana Cheng, senior editor of the Epoch Times, thank you for your time today. Thank you for being on with us and sharing this information.
Thank you.
Have a great day. God bless you. God love you. That is going to do it for hour number 1 of Catholic Drive Time. Hopefully you can join us in hour number 2. A ton of Catholic Drive Time is still to come for those that can. You can find links on how to do that at grnonline.com/CDT. If not, we'll see you back here Monday morning, 6 a.m. Central, 7 Eastern.
Thank you for joining us on Your Catholic Drive Time, where it is our pleasure to keep you informed and inspired.
Join us Monday through Friday at the same time, right here on your favorite Catholic radio station.
Don't forget to connect with us. Just go to facebook.com/Catholic Drive Time.
Again, that's facebook.com/Catholic Drive Time.
Be sure to share more than just us today. Share Jesus with everyone you meet.
Bye now, and God love you.